What's going on YouTube? So when this generation of the Tucson first arrived, it really changed everything with a much larger size and unmistakable design.
But are people loving it enough to take on the likes of the Honda CR-V and Toyota RAV4?
Well, Hyundai has made some 2024 updates to this model. So let's go ahead and find out the answer to that. All right, so let's go ahead and get things started out under the hood for our spec dump. So you're gonna continue to find a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine as the standard one. That's gonna make 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque, and Hyundai will continue to offer both a hybrid and plug-in hybrid, which we'll talk about more later.
You have an 8-speed automatic for the traditional gas model, front-wheel drive, or available all-wheel drive. And as far as fuel economy for front drive, you're sitting at 28 miles a gallon combined.
Now, like every review, we're gonna go out on an extensive test drive later on in the video. We're gonna get things like our signature sound level reading so that we can compare to all the other competitors on carconfections.com. But first, let's go ahead and close up the hood and start to talk about some of those 2024 updates. Now, as we walk up to the front design of this Tucson, you're not gonna notice any major changes, but there is something important I need to address right from the start. That's the fact that the traditional gas model has lost the inline trim level. It is now becoming a hybrid exclusive trim level. So if you want that kind of sporty look that the inline has been delivering, you are gonna need to choose the hybrid model for 2024. Now, otherwise, you're gonna be looking at the same kind of design, which is quite aggressive and unique looking. Up here in the front, we've got that signature grille. This is gonna be a smoked chrome finish here on the limited trim level, including the badging. And then let's move over to the very unique headlights. This, of course, is really what catches your attention when you look at a Tucson, because you have the daytime running lights that are actually integrated into the grille itself. You have an LED turn signal right there. And then down below is where you'll find the main headlight unit. Full LEDs on all models, but there'll be reflector LEDs on the lower trims, projector LEDs, on the limited trim level. Now, as I slither to the back here, we continue to have some signature elements like these fang-shaped LED taillights.
Yeah, I think the rear design is very aggressive, and the more you look at it, the more you like it. Now, let's go ahead and talk about these taillights because, of course, that's the biggest design element going on back here, and see if all the elements are LED. So we have an LED brake light, incandescent reverse light, incandescent turn signal indicator. So 1 out of 3 elements are LED. All of your accenting is LED if you choose an SEL trim level or above. Otherwise, you'll have none of the elements as LED, so do keep that in mind. Our Hyundai badge is going to be integrated in the glass itself, which is pretty neat. Dropping down to the lower area, it is going to have a nice contrast look to it. On the limited trim level, you're not going to have any exposed exhaust outlets. You have to choose the inline to get the dual exposed exhaust outlets. As far as tow rating, it's 2,000 pounds regardless of what powertrain you choose.
Now, moving on to our wheels, you do start out with 17-inch alloy wheels. When you choose the SEL with convenience package or above, that's going to upgrade you to 19-inch alloy wheels. These are very nice looking wheels, a unique design just like the rest of the exterior with a lot of contrasting finishes. And as we come up here to our mirrors, Limited is going to add this chrome accent through here. Most models will come with heating and blind spot monitoring, because you're not going to have power folding on any of the trims.
In terms of the length of the Tucson, that of course doesn't change this year. So it's going to be 182.3 inches, which does make this one of the larger offerings in the segment. Also, you're going to have a lot of designs going on here. There is angles galore. I feel like I'm back in geometry class looking at the side of this. Now, I do also want to talk about your safety systems for the 2024 Tucson. They're including all 4 of your active safety features as standard equipment on this model, which is good because a lot of families buy these vehicles, so that is going to be regardless of what trim level you choose. Now, if you do choose the limited trim level, you do get a few extra goodies, including rear auto braking as well as their smart parking system. But guys, that's going to wrap up the 2024 changes on the outside. Now let's see the 24 changes on the inside. But before, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's move on to the interior. First, we'll take a quick look at the key fob. This is your typical Hyundai key fob, same shape and everything. You do have smart entry as well as remote start on all but the base model. Those are your smart parking buttons that Mason mentioned earlier for the Limited. And then to get inside, just grab behind the handle. That's going to unlock the door. Now taking a look inside the interior. Of course, this is a pretty new model at this point, so we're not going to notice big design changes per se. But I do want to start off the interior by talking about our material and color choices. So SE and SEL will come standard with cloth seating. SEL Convenience and XRT will come with H-Tex leatherette, and then the Limited trim is the one that's going to come with the real leather that you see here. We do have some stitching details inside of it as well as this silver accent up top. This is available in both black or gray. Now in terms of the seats themselves, 8-way power adjusting on all but the base model with 2-way lumbar support. We do also have memory seating as well. But let's go ahead, climb inside, and take a look at the specific details. Now looking around at the rest of the materials, we do have a nice leather covered armrest over here. You got this cloth accent that runs through the center section, and it is soft touch along the top. The same soft touch material is going to continue across the entire upper dashboard. We have this cool vent design. More of this cloth is going to flow onto the dash. Soft touch through there. And down here on this lower panel, this will be hard touch, but feels nice and solid. All but the base model will have standard push button start. Now heading into a first person perspective, let's talk about the gauge cluster first. If you want this 10¼ inch digital gauge cluster, you are going to have to choose the SEL with convenience package or above. Of course, this is going to be reconfigurable with different types of designs. If you choose the Limited trim level, that's also going to get you Hyundai's blind spot camera system. Just be aware, no head-up display on this model. Now we do have rain sense wipers as well, and as we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got a nice leather wrap steering wheel with the latest design. The wheel itself is going to be manual, tilt and telescoping. You also have steering wheel heating on the Limited trim level. Now a lot of the 2024 updates are going to be like smaller updates and different feature updates. One of those is going to be at the steering wheel because we now have haptic feedback added to the steering wheel, so it has the ability to vibrate when different things like safety systems are activated to get your attention. But let's get into interior storage, because I know this is a big point for a lot of you guys, and we have a new thing called the Car Confections Donut Test. We want to see how many of these donuts can it fit. Well, here we have all 12 of the donuts inside of the center console already. As you can see, it couldn't fit 13, but it does fit a full dozen, which means it passes the donut test. Now up in front of that, we've got a couple cup holders. Hyundai gives you a very large and deep storage bin right through there. And you're also going to get wireless charging on the SEL with convenience package. You've got some more storage down there along the sides as well. Now as we pull back to the shifter, you've got this electronic style shifter. This is just going to be on the Limited trim level for the gas powered model. D is for drive, of course. You've got paddle shifters up here on the steering wheel. When you go into reverse, this Limited trim level will also be giving you a 360-degree camera system, and we have front and rear parking sensors on board. Of course, you can just press the P for park, and you've got your electronic parking brake with your brake hold right behind it. Now before I leave the floating console, I have to look at these buttons up here in the front. As you can see, we do have 3-stage heated seats. These are going to be included on all but the base model. We also have 3-stage ventilated seats here with the Limited trim level. This is a feature that some of the prominent rivals continue to not offer. And then as we go up to the main climate controls, we have a 2024 update. That's the fact that dual zone climate has moved down a trim level for 2024. It's now on all but the base model. This is going to give you touch capacitive controls here to adjust your climate up and down. You do have fan adjustments down there at the bottom. Overall, very responsive though, even though it is a touch capacitive panel. And you also have a touch capacitive panel up here for your audio controls. So let's talk about what you get. Standard 6-speaker sound system. The Limited comes with an 8-speaker Bose premium sound system. Let's give that a sample. overall sound quality is quite nice, and if you don't like using that touch capacitive panel, you can of course adjust with the steering wheel controls. All right, so let's take a look here at our main display. So for 2024, Hyundai is now giving you the 10.25 inch display, which you're looking at right now, the large one, on the SEL with Convenience package. This is going to give you, of course, more screen real estate. It is also going to give you a built-in navigation system. Now, there is one thing to consider, though. That's the fact that if you have the large display, you are going to need to use a USB connection for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. If you choose to have a lower trim with the smaller 8-inch display, that's actually going to give you wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now, you won't be able to see it on a bright day like this, but the ambient lighting system has been upgraded to 64 colors for 2024. And if we take a look up here at our mirror, we do have an auto dimming one with HomeLink universal remotes with SEL Convenience. You've got a new rear seat belt reminder for 2024. Let me open up our panoramic sunroof that you get here on the limited trim level. The lower trim levels can get a conventional size sunroof.
All right, so the second row of the Tucson has always been a very nice place to spend time. That's going to continue this year. And why is it so nice to spend time back here? Well, because it's very spacious and has a lot of features. 41.3 inches of legroom, a little over 39 inches of headroom. That makes this one of the largest offerings in the entire segment. Yes, this even goes up against rivals like the Honda CR-V in terms of space. I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and we are sitting at a little over 9.5 inches of knee space. My feet can also slide up underneath the seat, so I am quite comfortable. Additionally, I have this little lever on the side that allows me to recline my seat back quite a good distance, and I'm just very comfortable overall. Now, let's talk about features. If you choose an SEL trim level or above, you're going to have the rear vents in the second row area. Dropping below that, we have 2 charging USB ports. We're also going to have a center armrest here with cup holders inside. Let's turn to the door trim. The top is going to be hard, unlike the front, so a little cheaper in the back, but not bad. We also have a little cloth piece through the middle, leatherette on the rest of it. And then you're going to notice this button right here by the window switch. That's because we have 2-stage heated rear seats. That's standard on the limited trim. So yeah, you're going to be able to toast them cheeks in this limited model. And then down at the bottom, you do also have some bottle storage. Now, walking up to the Tucson's cargo area, as you can see, when I approach the vehicle, it senses that. And we'll go ahead and open up the Smart Power tailgate. That's going to be standard on SEL Convenience trim levels and above. Of course, it is standard on this limited model. Now, as far as the space back here is concerned, like I mentioned, dimensionally speaking, this Tucson is very large for the segment. That's going to translate to a lot of space in the cargo area as well. 39 cubic feet behind the second row seats. If we use these conveniently located levers right here, we can fold down to get our maximum of about 75 cubic feet of space in this Tucson. If you're curious as to how that compares to the rivals, well, that's going to be just ever so slightly shy of the Honda CR-V, which I do believe is the biggest in the entire segment. So very impressive cargo space back here. Now, of course, at Car Confections, we like to get all those numbers for you, and I'm going to go ahead and measure from the front seat back all the way to the rear of the cargo area. I'm going to try and keep it level. We're sitting at about 70 inches of space, or 70 inches of length here. And then as far as the width on this Tucson, we are sitting at 41 inches wide. So definitely a lot of space in here. That does mean you can fit an average size adult bicycle, which is 69 inches long, as well as a refrigerator, which is also 69 inches long. Now, if we lift up the cargo floor, we have a spare tire for the gas models. And then we do also have a 12-volt outlet here on the left side. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2024 Hyundai Tucson, and in this test drive, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things. We'll be starting out with a hard acceleration, but we will additionally be getting to things like our sound level reading in just a second. So let's go ahead and start out with that acceleration.
All right. And there is an acceleration up to 60 miles an hour in the Hyundai Tucson. Like we mentioned at the spec dump, this is going to be the standard engine option, the traditional gasoline-powered version. 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. As you can see, acceleration perfectly adequate.
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, like most things in this segment, at least with the standard engine, it's not going to blow you away or anything like that, but it gets out of its own way.
Yeah, I'll say the RAV4 and its standard gas engine does feel a little bit more peppy than this. Some of the rivals, especially if you choose the hybrids, are more peppy than this, but that is kind of brings me to my next talking point, is that you can get a hybrid version of the Tucson that is going to be more powerful than this. That's making 226 total system horsepower, so quite a big bump in power as compared to this gas model. And then you do also have the plug-in hybrid version, which is the most powerful version of the Tucson. That's 261 total system horsepower, so that's really powerful for this segment of vehicle. It is worth noting you can't get like the 2.5 turbo on this model. You will have to go to the Santa Fe if you want that, but a lot of different powertrain options that really fits your needs. You know, if you are just concerned about getting from point A to point B, this gas model will be your option, but the hybrid is a very good choice if you want the extra fuel economy and extra power.
Now let's talk about the other aspect of the powertrain. We have an 8-speed automatic transmission with this 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine. Overall, nice and smooth. When you put your foot down, it drops a gear or two to give you that additional oomph that you're gonna want. And you have a 6-speed automatic transmission if you choose either of those hybrid models.
Yeah. But while we're up to speed here, I do want to just go ahead and get one of our signature Car Confections element, the sound level reading, because we're on our designated strip of road. So I'm going to turn off all of our vented seats, and fan speed is going to be at 1, and we're going to go 55 miles an hour to see how this compares to some of the rivals. 55.4 is our official Car Confections sound level reading. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a second here to go on carconfections.com, where we've tested out all of really this vehicle's competitions. This is a segment we do a ton of car reviews in, and we've actually went ahead and put those in a database and put it on our website so you can see how this compares when it comes to the sound level reading. That is actually a pretty solid sound level reading that puts it at the upper end of the segment, that is for sure. It's going to be better than the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid that we tested out, as well as something like a Nissan Rogue. And if you want to see the full competitor list, like I said, go to carconfections.com. We have it posted there. And I do also want to talk about your ride quality while we're kind of cruising along here on the highway. The Tucson is one of those vehicles. It has a really great ride quality. We've sampled out lots of them on week-long tests. We've reviewed this car a lot. Honestly, I feel like we've been in this car probably 10 different times since it came out in 2022. We've done a lot of these, and it's just a really good ride quality. The seats are very comfortable. It's one of those cars that just kind of blends into your everyday lifestyle. No complaints whatsoever when it comes to road tripping this thing, that is for sure. And it's time for another Car Confection signature element. We're in Kentucky after all. Drew, what's our slam dunk?
The slam dunk of the Tucson continues to be its value. You have a lot of space and a lot of features, and the price still comes in honestly quite a bit less expensive than the rivals. It's really not inflated as much as they have over the last couple years, so the delta is growing really in terms of the difference between this and like a fully loaded RAV4 or CRV.
And as far as the airball is concerned, it's going to be this right here. We want wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. We've said this a lot in a lot of Hyundai and Kia reviews, and we're going to keep saying it until they add it. It's one of those features people are looking for. Every time you get in the car, you want to use CarPlay, and you don't want to have to use a cord. So that's something we see consistently in the comments, and we really want Hyundai and Kia to change that on their newest vehicles.
Yeah, hope is on the horizon, though. Yeah. There's some upcoming models that are supposed to have it, but this doesn't have it for 2024, so just be aware.
All right, and then wrapping things up, I do want to talk about your fuel economy for this Tucson. It's going to be sitting at 28 miles a gallon combined for the version that we're in today, which is the front-wheel drive. All-wheel drive drops that down to 25 mpg, and of course the hybrid is going to get quite a bit better fuel economy. It's rated at 38 miles a gallon combined and does have standard all-wheel drive. And then the plug-in hybrid is rated at 32 miles of electric range. We do have a review on that on our channel if you want to go check that out. It's already live. And lastly here, in regards to the warranty, you're going to have their signature warranty, which is 10-year 100,000 mile powertrain, 5-year 60,000 mile basic, and you do also get 3 years and 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. So in a time where prices are getting more and more expensive everywhere you look, you're probably curious as to how much the prices are going to rise for this 2024 Tucson. Well, thankfully not much. It's about $1,000 across trim levels this year. So we're starting at $27,250 for the base trim level with front drive. Of course, you have quite a few other trim levels that you can pick from, ending in this limited, which starts at $36,510. Once we add in a few accessories and the $1335 destination, we're sitting at $38,570 as tested for this Tucson Limited front-wheel drive. And that's all for our in-depth review of the 2024 Hyundai Tucson Limited. If you enjoyed watching this review or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help give us access to vehicles like this where we can be some of the first people to look at the next model year and inform you of those changes. So you really do help out by hitting that subscribe button, and we are so close to 400,000 subs right now. If you guys are already a part of our Car Confections family, thank you so much for your continued support, because we really do appreciate it. Also, we would really appreciate if you checked out our Instagram and TikTok pages, as well as our website, carconfections.com. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.